Hi, so my name is Grace Smith, and I will be close reading the last paragraph of White Noise by Don DeLillo. So the part that I am talking about will mostly be focused on this description of the supermarket. So the story ends where it began, which is in the supermarket, and I thought that was really interesting in itself because it kind of just takes you full circle, allowing the reader to view that with a new perspective and context than they did at the beginning. So you now understand more of the role that the supermarket and consumerism plays in the book. When at the beginning you just kind of thought it was just a lot of information and maybe a little overwhelming. Um, so the part right here where it says the supermarket shelves have been arranged, I think it's really interesting because at least for me, when I first read that sentence, I immediately was just like, oh no. Because with the context of the whole novel, you kind of understand the way that people react to certain things like this. They don't change that much. And just the strong control that different products and consumerism plays in the people's lives. I think as soon as you read that it's been rearranged, you're kind of just like, oh no, because you know that people are going to react poorly to it. Um, I thought it was really, really interesting that DeLillo uses a lot of words that have negative connotations with them. So, for example, some of them are agitation, panic, dismay, scouring, scattered, anxious, fussy, self conscious, abruptly. And then on the other page, there's some that include aimless, haunted, scrutinized, weary, betrayal, heartless, confusion. So just making sure that the reader understands that the public and the people that are shopping in the supermarket are extremely flustered and extremely unhappy and worried and panicking about not being able to find the things that they need. And it seems so simple and not a big deal, but this passage just shows how strongly the hold of consumerism in the industries have on them. um, there is an overarching tone of confusion among the shoppers and in this passage. So like I was saying before, it represents how something so small has such a huge impact on the public. That shows the hold that industries have on the consumerism culture. The action that the public has to the rearranging of the store is really interesting. DeLillo uses really strong imagery, like the example of a shopper being really flustered by not being able to find the cream of wheat. Oh, it's still on this page, isn't it? Yep, right there. Which doesn't seem like a big deal, but they're flustered because they can't find their breakfast food. I thought that was really interesting. Um, it just seems so small. Another thing that I thought was really interesting was the brand names versus generic aspect of this. So it says only generic food is where it was, white packages plainly labeled. So it kind of goes deeper into this idea of consumerism and has a lot of focus on this idea of brand names versus generic brand names. So I mean, just on a personal level, I can relate to there's just some brands that I will always try and get some of their products first before I go to a different store and get a generic brand, just because either for me, I think it's about the quality, maybe I really like the company or something along that. But I thought it was really interesting that DeLillo thought that was an important part to talk about and discuss. For DeLillo, or I guess for Jack Gladney, the supermarket is representative to Jack of the everyday life that people lead. And he uses imagery of the slow moving line right here, a slow moving line satisfying, giving us time to glance at the tabloids in the racks. I love this line just because it is so relatable even now. And I don't know, it just kind of shows this mundane pattern that these people follow. So this is the last page. It's on page 310. So this whole section right here, a slowly moving line, satisfying, giving us time to glance at the tabloids in the racks. Everything we need that is not food or love is here in the tabloid racks. The tales of supernatural and the extraterrestrial, the miracle vitamins, the cures for cancer, and the remedies for obesity, the cults of the famous and the dead. I just think that Jack is basically saying that everything but the necessities like love and food can be found in the tabloids. the drama and distraction of the tabloids offer a way for the public to escape the hardships in their own everyday life, and it distracts them with like these outrageous stories that focus on a very temporary level of happiness rather than a lasting one. Um, I just found that extremely interesting. So, as the classmate had discussed in a discussion post earlier, in this unit, he basically says that Jack kind of recognizes that the new American religion is consumerism. And I think that is what this last passage brings it all back to.